Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Podcast, the podcast with 4 different flavors coming from 4 different gamers. I am your host, Patrick Smith, and I want to welcome my co-hosts, Nick Irwin, Shane Eisterhold, and Russell Rowe.
Hey, Patrick, where can they find us?
Well, the first place you should check out is our website at ittastesdifferent.com. This is the place where you can subscribe to all of our streams and connect to all of our social media sites. You can also find us on Facebook at It Tastes Different. We're also on Instagram at It Tastes Different PC. And then last but not least is Twitter, where you can find us at It Tastes Diff. What's on the menu for today? We whip up some ambrosia salad with Immortals Fenyx Rising. Immortals Fenyx Rising is an action-adventure video game developed by Ubisoft Quebec and published by Ubisoft, obviously. The game was released basically for everything. And when I say everything, I mean Windows, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Stadia, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, December 3rd, 2020.
iPods.
Everything but mobile. So, and it's basically running on the Anvil Next 2.0 engine. It's basically a game set in the Greek religion. So there's gods and demigods and all kinds of stuff. Greek mythology, basically. So pretty interesting story. I think let's turn this one over. Since this was a Russ pick, let's let Russ start this one off for us and tell us what his thoughts were on this game.
All right. Well, I actually got a little bit of an earlier start than everybody else in this game. I actually completed the game. First thoughts of this game, it's kind of like one of those pocket games it seemed Ubi had ready for the Xbox Series X and Series S release. It's another game that we've got released for the new consoles that have more of a cartoon ish kind of look versus the realism. The game looks clean, it runs clean, it plays clean. I had no bugs. I mean for a platformer / puzzle fillings, I did not really have any problems grabbing objects, jumping. There was a little thing like my own thumb kind of just did not work at some cases when you're running and you kind of double jump real quick off of a platform. You might as well forget it. You're done. You just fall and start again. It has some basic principles. It has skills. It has level ups. I went with a little bit of a different way than maybe some people did. I went ahead and just like basically maxed out my sword and my weaponry and just kind of like dodged everything. The dodge mechanics in the game are actually pretty easy in my opinion. So the game is actually a fairly easy to learn, easy to pick up game and pretty easy to play. The storyline is fantastic. I guess in my old age, I'm starting to really like a fun storyline. There was a lot of perfect little just kind of quips from the gods themselves, and then you had your hero Phoenix, who was just the lovable hero you wanted to just continue to fight and get stronger. It's a very typical Ubisoft game when it comes to an open world, and the problem with that is unfortunately it does get a little repetitive. The repetition comes into play quite a bit through the vaults that you're doing. The vaults are just a kind of a simple way of saying like a little puzzle dungeon. Those were fun and they were pretty cool. They do get kind of complicated towards the end of the game, which kind of makes it a little bit more fun to play, but definitely did become monotonous. I believe that this is a very solid game. Again, kind of like a new release to the Series X. I say it's only disappointing because I'm ready to have some new realism type of games that really use this power of this new console. The load times are great as always, but the graphically this game doesn't push any envelopes or anything like that with that. So, but that's my start. I'll pass it over to Shane, see what he has to say about it, and come back with some more in a little bit.
All right. Well, I completely agree with Russ. The monotony part I don't find as much, but it does get a little monotonous at times. The graphics I think are wonderfully done. It's cartoony. Of course, I was going to call it Zelda-like. The character models are probably my only issue. Is that there's few of them. As far as the minor creatures, they're all pretty much the same. You just have levels, and those levels are just colored. That's it. I enjoy the game overall. My complaints would probably run to the minor monotony. The controls take some getting used to. They're not terrible. I'm a klutz. Just like Russ said, accidentally hitting a dang button when you don't mean to. That sucks about when it happens. The overall gameplay is Russ. When me and you were talking about the other day, we said, "Well, how did you put it?" It was something about Assassin's Creed. It was like Saturday morning Assassin's Creed or something like that. Yeah.
It's like Saturday morning's Odyssey is basically what it is.
Yeah.
To some purposes.
Yeah, and it's a real good way to put it, and that's not a bad thing at all. The the monologuing from Zeus is just fantastic, and it's funny as all get out. The characters of Hermaphrodite and God was that Ares. Those two cracked me up the entire time so far. And you're rescuing gods to help you out in the long run of the game. The best part is probably the storylines. I think the story is just it's so funny, and the way they've worked together after you get the gods saved. The way they not work together, but they communicate with each other afterwards it's absolutely hilarious. I don't really have a whole lot to complain about when it comes to this game because I've really enjoyed it. I've almost completed it, but I have been really milking it and doing all the little things as much as I could. So I'm still working on it, and I like it. What do you think, Nick? Since I know you're going to be the worst one.
I wouldn't say I'm the worst one.
Oh, we would.
No, I think this game is good in the long term. It's got a lot going for it. I think the commentary is very funny between the gods and everything that happened throughout the game. I think the game has a pretty good structure. It's a typical Ubisoft kind of game in that sense of, you have a map and then there's just a million things on it to go and do and collect and various things like that. The combat's pretty good. It works. It's nothing like super crazy, but it's nothing super basic in any means. There's a little strategic with the dodging and stuff like that, and the type of weapons you want to use. So, that works out, and it's a really fun little game. For me, I didn't play a ton of it, and it was really because for me, I found the game to be a little bit on the repetitive side. But, for anyone listening, don't let that stray you away from this game. I think it is a really good game, and I think it definitely deserves people to play it. For me, I probably will come back to this game, but it'll probably be a long time down the road. It's just, I would start playing it and then kind of get bored and turn it off. That was really my idea. But but it wasn't because I didn't think it was bad. It was just, it was repetitive and for me and just going around and slogging and basically just attacking and kind of repeating the same stuff just kind of got, I don't know, it just started to bore me. I just got bored basically playing it. That was the gist of it for me. So, but that's not going to be the same for everybody. So I think a lot of people will enjoy this. I think it's kind of one of those sleeper hits. It kind of came out towards the end of this year, and one game that wasn't, it was talked about and it was kind of shown off, but it was kind of Ubisoft, I think, showed it off initially in one of the E3s as Gods versus Monsters or Gods and Monsters or something like that. And this is what it turned into. And so, that game had a little bit of hype back on E3 when it was Gods and Monsters, and then it kind of went away, and then it came back as Immortal Fenyx Rising, I think is the name of the game, the complete name. And so, it kind of flew under the radar, I feel like, because you had, Cyberpunk, even though Cyberpunk's got its fair share of issues and stuff, but you had games like that, Call of Duty, of course, which always has a big reputation, and various other games and the new consoles and things like coming out, that this kind of, I felt like a little bit maybe that people don't know about it much, and it kind of slid under the radar for some. So, if you're curious about this game or anything like that, I think it's definitely, I don't know if it's definitely worth the $60 price point that I think it's usually at, but Ubisoft games typically go on sale quite often. Those are the one type of games that go on sale a lot, especially on the Xbox Marketplace and PlayStation and online on Steam and stuff. So those types of games go on sale all the time. So I'm sure you could probably pick this game up on sale, and I think the majority of people would have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, that's my take on it. I do recommend it, even though it wasn't necessarily 100% in my ballpark as far as a game I wanted to play at the moment. I think it is a good game. I don't think it's a bad game in any sense. So, that's my look on that game. But Patrick, what did you think of this game?
Well, this game, I will say, was not even on my radar. I remember seeing some stuff about it, and I didn't really pay too much attention to it. It didn't feel like it was for me, from what I had seen. And yeah, the original game was the original announcement was Gods and Monsters, and then through a trademark dispute, they had to rename the game. So with Monster Energy drinks of all people. So it wasn't really on my radar, and I will have to admit that I thoroughly enjoyed it. So it was a really good pick by Russ, because like I said, I wasn't even thinking about this one. Wasn't even interested in this one, and I was really not really looking forward to playing it because it didn't seem like something that would interest me. And I didn't realize what it was about or anything like that. So and it basically, you could see that Ubisoft Quebec did this because it looks just like you guys said, Assassin's Creed Odyssey Light. It's definitely that. I will say that it's really good. I'm thoroughly impressed, and I really want to finish the game, but I'm unfortunately running out of time with the next game in line. But that next game in line may not be as lengthy as the other game, so I may be able to come back to this one because I only really got to play to unlock the first area and fully unlock the first god. So so I got to play all that. The best part of this game, in my opinion, is the banter between Zeus and Prometheus, and then all the little back and forth banter between the gods and Hermes and yourself and stuff. So that's the best part of the game. It's all the quick quips and all that stuff in the game, I think. So definitely a really good game, and I want to play more. I just haven't got the time to play more. So I think it's definitely a good pick. I honestly think there's enough time in it to venture a full price game. If you're really into this type of game and you really want to play, if you like the Assassin's Creed style games, it's very much like that. It reminds me of that. There's no doubt, there'd be no doubt in your mind if you ever played those games and you didn't know who made this, you would know it was an Ubisoft game right away. I will say that there's not a whole lot of meaningless collectibles in the game, which is Ubisoft's known for. Really, the only things you collect in this game are currency. It's not like you're collecting things that you can't use or collectibles for the sake of collectibles in this game, which is what Ubisoft's known for. You're collecting currency to spend to increase your skills or increase your, you get armor and weapons and increase in those abilities from that and buying abilities. So, I thoroughly enjoyed this game and want to finish it off, if not just to finish the banter between Zeus and Prometheus and stuff, because those two are hilarious. Listen to them talk to each other while Prometheus is telling the story and Zeus is quipping about what's not right and and how could this be, and so it's definitely a really good game and a really big surprise to me because I was not anticipating liking this game very much. And so I will say I only got to put about 10, maybe 12 hours into it. I can't remember what the last time was on my save game, but I completed the first area. And I mean, when I say completed, I grabbed everything in the zone, did all the vaults, grabbed all the, and when I say first zone, I mean the first god zone with Aphrodite. So I completely cleared her area, rescued her, went and did all her side quests, and then I was starting into the area above it. So I was going to try to go to next. So the game doesn't seem to tell you where to go. Russ might know a little bit more, but it seems like the areas scale with you. That you can go to any zone at any time, and the area just kind of scales with your abilities.
There's one area there in in one area. I'm trying to my brain everybody forgive me, my brain is an Ares section there where when you free up Ares, there is an area in there that can get kind of nasty, but it almost logically kind of pushes you clockwise from Aphrodite to go around and do that. Not Hermaphrodite, Shane, that's Aphrodite. If anybody heard that earlier, I was dying laughing, but I love you, Shane. So that's kind of works like that. The one thing that I did want to comment on, the I am very happy that this game doesn't do pointless gathering of objects. The only thing that is kind of like that is the wings of Daedalus. You do get some different wings, but those happen when you have mini boss fights and stuff, and they come off of those guys. And so you're not like searching pointless wonders of everywhere just to get these things. They kind of come along as you are progressing through the storyline. So that was one nice thing about this particular Ubisoft title that is different from others for sure. And they do have some playability or replayability within the daily tasks and the weekly tasks, but again, repetitive, but it has all those elements that every game has before.
Yeah, I would agree with Russ on that. I like that nothing felt fetchy. Nothing felt like that you're having to go miles out of your way 90% of the time, because everything is very easy to get to. Side quests are a little on the atypical side, but they were all pretty good. All the challenges that you do were all for the most part different, especially when it comes to the gods, their parts. So I really enjoyed those, except for oh god, the last god I unlocked. Her last one was a pain in the butt, dragging all the crates everywhere. Oh god, that one was hard.
Yeah, it's the puzzles in each of the vaults and stuff like that are all kind of fun, and then the challenges. There's the archery challenges by using the arrow of what is it, Apollo, I think is what it is. So you get to use like his arrow to where you control it and stuff like that. Those are all kind of fun in my opinion. The only ones that get on my nerve a little bit are the navigation ones where you have to run through the zone to make it to the area before the light goes out. Those are the only times that some things get annoyed. But I will honestly say the vaults and stuff are probably some of the, in my opinion, more, because they're like mini puzzles in themselves, because every vault has a chest as well as the lightning of Zeus, so that you can use to spend on your energy, your endurance. That was my biggest complaint of the game, though. I will say the biggest complaint that I have in the game is the climbing and swimming.
I was hoping somebody would say that.
Because everything you do in this game uses stamina, and just think of an Assassin's Creed game. You climb, you climb, you climb, you jump, you swim, you climb, you climb, you climb, you climb. That's what this game is too. But climbing uses stamina, and you just can't climb any wall you want. You need to look at it and be like, can I make it to the top of there before I run out of stamina and plummet? So you have to look at that. You can't just run and do all this stuff. Because I've been plenty of times just flying around. I'm like, I'm going to go to that ledge, and I can't quite make it to that far. And so I'll just fly and I'll hit it and won't even pay attention to my stamina and realize, oh crap, I have 1 bar of stamina and I'm halfway up this mountain. I'm dead, So that's one of the things that I don't like, but it's their type of control in the game to make you pay a little bit more attention. But all the puzzles are kind of fun. Sometimes they do get repetitive, and sometimes they are annoying. Like, I think the worst vault I ran into so far reminded me of the Super Mario with the swinging balls of fire, but it's all laser beams. The laser beam one. I was like, what are we doing? We're playing, what was it? What do they call it in Big Bang Theory? The laser beam lunch special or whatever. where you got to basically dodge all the laser beams. And that one was super annoying for me, and I don't know why. It was just very annoying. It's the one where basically you have to, at the end, you have to ride the elevator up, and you step to the left to avoid the little beam of light, and then you step in between the two. And
you got to shoot
overall, it was all the vaults that I've run across so far are pretty fun. I mean, there is some combat vaults in there, but they all have like kind of, in my opinion, a little, if you think through it, strategic type to it, because especially in the combat vaults where you have to fight three waves of enemies to open it. Like even to get to like the chest in those, you have to pull the lever and fight the big baddie of there. And every one of those has something special. Like the room with the lasers, I just walked all the enemies through the lasers, and the lasers killed all of them for me. I didn't have to touch them because they were just such nasty. Like they were 2 minotaurs in this. I don't even know what it's called, but it was like an alien looking thing. I just walked them into the laser beams and let the laser beams chew them apart.
Yeah, the lasers probably were, I would have to agree, the biggest pain in the butts on those.
Yeah, because they tear off, like, if they just touch your pinky toe, like a quarter of your life is gone.
Yep.
There'll be some things later. I don't want to spoil too much, but there'll be some things later where you're using objects to deflect other objects so that the as you get through some of them do get a little bit more complicated but they're not so complicated that you want to throw your controller. It's like if you pay attention to your surroundings and just kind of be patient a little bit, they're just challenging enough to be interesting, but not too challenging to where you have to look anything up or Google anything. I think this is the first game in a while that I actually didn't Google anything. I was actually able to figure out almost all the. Actually, I was able to figure out all the ones that I did. I'm not quite the completionist on this one that Patrick was, just because I knew after like the third zone of doing everything, I would probably be just done and fried. But they do allow you to have what's the new thing now, like Game Plus type
new
of
Game Plus,
option. Yeah, New Game Plus type. So they do have that option as well. You'll keep all of your skills and you can continue the story again. They have seasons and that stuff too. But it is a solid game. It just depends on if this is really a game that. There's those that love this game, and then those that are okay with it, and then of course those that will play it, but they don't love it. And if you really love a game like this will be something that you keep going. You'll keep it installed, and you'll come back to it. Once every other week.
I mean, and your abilities, you pick the abilities you want, and it's your playstyle. Yep. Like Russ was saying earlier about the dodging. I completely forego all the parrying abilities because I don't parry in this game. I'm just dodging.
I'm a dodger.
Because there's certain abilities you can't parry anyway, and I'm like, I don't want to have to look out to see if it's a red ability or not. So the dodging in this game is phenomenal because you have perfect dodge, which slows down time and then lets you beat the crap out of whatever you just dodged, and so I do that. I put all my points into the dodge and ignored the parry, and I just dodge and counter everything, and just it gets to the point to where you learn what the moves of each enemy are so that you can kind of gauge how you need to attack them and stuff like that. So I do kind of like that. And then they change up the enemies a little bit as you move from zone to zone. And even in the beginning zone, like I noticed how the enemy, as my level progressed, the enemies changed a little bit. Like the regular bears went from like brown bears to like lightning bears and stuff like that, so it's definitely good.
Did you guys what? I mean, I don't know how much spoilage. What mount do you guys have right now?
I got I have 3. There's 2 horses, and then I grabbed the little weird-looking red deer thing that's got antlers.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the horse and the deer thing, but I honestly I don't really use them.
I was gonna say I don't neither, man. I've not used the mount at all because you can fast travel to all the vaults you beat and all that kind of stuff.
Yep. Well, I don't know. Maybe I got lucky. I actually found a unicorn.
Oh, nice.
and
Tom cruised it.
Yeah, I mean, totally. It was like I got it early on too. So early on, you don't quite have all those fast travels, but I just lucked across one, and so I used it a little bit. I mean, but what was nice about it is it has 3 full lines of stamina. So like, I mean, I could get on there and sprint sometimes on that horse. Just, I mean, or that unicorn, but I was just curious to see if anybody had gotten one of those or not. But I mean,
I haven't even seen one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one neither.
That's cool.
I may have just lucked across it. I think it was even in the first zone, the north, kind of that first major boss that is actually a side quest, Ozami or whatever. I cannot remember that name. The harpy there, that's pretty tough. Which actually I would never suggest anybody to try to do that after completion of the first one. You need to get like a couple of gods before you do that.
Yeah, I tried to go at him before I finished the first zone. And gang raped me. He was hard.
Yeah, it's overall the difficulty is not terrible though.
No, I would say no. I mean, most of the enemies for when you run into them are pretty doable, but it's not a hack and slash game though. I mean, some of the
No.
enemies are hack and slash, but a lot of them you have to strategize because like the shield guys, you're just not going to go in there and beat on them. You can swing your heavy axe and hit them a couple of times, but they're going to block everything you do and then just start beating on you or do their special ability on you and tear off a good chunk of your health. And then the same thing with like I don't know what they're called either, but they just look like Jabba the Hutts. There's just all kinds of
giant slug things. Yeah,
yeah, they look like a cross between Jabba the Hutt and Medusa.
Yeah, I would have wished they had a little more enemy varieties.
I'm sure as you get out of the first zone, there will be.
No, I've opened up everything except for the very last island, and they're all the same. I mean, there's 6, 8, I think, and they're they all have variants, but
normal, epic, and then elite, or elite,
Yeah.
and then
Because
legendary.
I flew over the one center place trying to get the seed to cure phosphor, and I saw the weird looking alien creature with like 4 arms and weird looking head.
And that's about all. I mean, that's about the gist of it right there.
Yeah.
Pretty much. See, my favorite mobs are the chickens. You find your
love the chickens.
find a gold chicken. It's hilarious. It is kind of funny, but I mean, it's definitely a very enjoyable game when it comes to just enjoying the silliness or whatever you want to call it.
Silliness and puzzles, man. There are some cool puzzles in this game.
If you like Assassin's Creed, Odyssey, but you don't want to deal with all the BS and you want something along that lines that's just funny, this is perfect. Because it's, just like Russ said, it's, Saturday morning Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's fun.
All right. Definitely a good game. I think it's worth it. Because I'm still playing on it. Like I said, I put in like 10 to 12 hours in it, and I've only cleared I've only completely cleared Aphrodite's area. I have not even started on the other areas yet, and I put that much time in it just because I'm a big completionist person. I have to hit the map, and I'm like, all right, what's in this area, and look all over and I'm sure I missed stuff because the only way to find stuff on the map is to go to a high peak in the area and basically just scan it line by line.
Yep.
And try to make sure you found all the secrets in the zone. It'd be nice if they had maps that you could buy or something once you beat. Like once I freed Aphrodite, I should have been able to say, where's all the secrets in this area? And so get a map and they pop up. That would have been nice. Or maybe that happens at the end of the game. I don't know. But right now I'm just going, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? So
for the storylines, the one I enjoyed the most is probably Ares. That one there was pretty funny. I don't want to spoil any of it, but it was really great. I also did enjoy the blacksmith. My goodness, my brain just dropped. What's his name?
Heracles?
Oh, no.
No, I think he's right. I think it is Heracles.
Hephaestus.
Yes, Hephaestus. That's right.
Well, he's the automaton guy. He's the guy that made the owl.
Yeah, exactly. And so that one was pretty good too. But Ares was definitely the most enjoyable one. That one was a lot of fun. And that zone was actually a little bit more challenging than the other ones. I don't know, like you said, I don't know that it necessarily exactly kind of goes with your level, but it's like built as you go through, your level will increase, or your abilities will increase. And like I said earlier, I went first with basically heavy damage and stuff like that. And so I really didn't struggle damage-wise at all throughout the whole game because I put everything into that and I just dodged. It was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'd like it. The controls are tight in this game because you can eventually dodge in midair and stuff like that too. So
yeah, Hephaestus, Russ, when you're talking about not having to Google, the very first part of Hephaestus's mission, to free him and get his essence, I had to Google because I could not figure out the cisterns doing the lumps of coal.
Yeah, it took me a minute too. I was like running around. I'm like going, I'm hitting, and then I realized I hit my LB, or my left bumper, and something highlighted in the corner of my eye, and I'm like, what was? Oh, the coal goes in there. Okay, that's what it is. But I almost did have to Google that, but it was just kind of luck that it caught my eye when I was doing that, because I don't know about you guys, but if I got into an area where I was kind of struggling, whatever, I just kind of tap LB a bunch of times and see if anything highlights to grab for the lifting.
Yeah.
That and Y, and it would, and so I mean sometimes that helped, but it was a solid game. I think I agree. Maybe early on, right before we started the podcast, I thought to myself, yeah, it's a $40 game, but you know what? Maybe Patrick's right. Maybe it is for what we've bought lately, or at least what we've seen released for the Series X. I think this is about it was a completely ready game on release. Not very many bugs. The whole system was there. There was no super huge updates. The graphics were clean, though they are cartoony a little bit. They are clean. So yeah, you know what? Full price, I think, is definitely worth this game.
Yep, especially if you're a fan of Ubisoft Quebec, like Assassin's Creed style games. And then if you like Greek mythology, you're going to love this one, because I think the banter is probably some of the best part.
Yeah, the storytelling in this thing is absolutely fantastic. Just listening to the little side talk that pops up occasionally between Zeus and God, it kills Prometheus. I don't know why I can never remember his name. Is always just hilarious. I mean, every time they speak, it's just funny. And there's a few parts that actually get pretty sweet and sentimental. It was
Right.
it was kind of odd, but the game is fun. It truly is fun. It's not glitchy and broke, which is after playing Cyberpunk is like my super ultra favorite thing now. It's not a busted broke game. I love it. I like being able to jump in and not worrying about all my crap breaking and stuff like that. It's a good game all around. You can't beat it. We got it on, I guess it'd be a Christmas special, but we paid $40 for it and it was fantastic.
Great game. Nick, you want to add any thoughts to this? You've been pretty quiet on this one. I know it didn't quite pique your interest, but
Nope. I don't really have anything else to add.
I think it's worth it. I loved it. I like I said, I was thoroughly impressed, because I was not expecting to like this game. I thought this would be one that I'm going to struggle to put in 8 hours on. And so I kind of put it off a little bit. And honestly, I felt like I needed more time, because when I got into it and put in 12 hours, I'm like, oh my God, I need to put in another 8 to get a good review out of this. But my review is going to be, yes, it'll get tedious, but you can often just ignore some of the side stuff and go do some of the stuff that you really want to do in the game. The puzzles are fun, in my opinion. They're some of the funner parts, especially the longer ones, like what are they called? The ones that look like the shooting star, where you got to go collect all the balls from different puzzles to make the big main puzzle. Those are fun.
Yeah.
The constellation type puzzles.
Yeah. And those were really fun.
Myth, I think they're called myths.
Yeah, myths. They were just fun, because go find all these balls, glowing orbs, and put them in a pattern that matches the pattern on the stone. And to get the pearl, you get pearls or balls, whatever they are, they're puzzles in themselves to get them and find them all. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
All the little stuff is just great in it. It's fun and it's funny, and it's definitely a well worth the buy game.
Absolutely.
Cool. Anybody else got anything they want to add to this one?
Nick, anymore?
You know what? There's one last thing I do want to add. I do want to add, like, there's one nice feature to this, is that Patrick just said, like, if you want to skip some of the side quests, you can actually do that. You can actually skip some stuff in the zones and continue the storyline and still be strong enough at the end to get. You may struggle a little bit at the very end, so it does behoove you to do a little bit of the side, at least do your crystals, do some of the vaults for your stamina upgrades. But it does flow very well. If you really just want to enjoy the story and push the story, you can do that. Just know that when you finish the game, you cannot go back to your current game. You can go back before you end the game, or you can move on to the New Game Plus version. Just giving you guys a heads up on that portion.
That's good to know. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You can't come back.
You could come back, but what you're going to do is, after you beat the game, you will come back to right before. Well, yes.
Oh.
Yes, you can come back right before you beat the guy, but if you want to beat him in the end, once you beat him, you're going to have the option to either do new game or go back before you beat him. So
gotcha,
that's the
okay.
two options you have.
You
So
can't keep playing once you beat him. Gotcha.
yes, sir. Yep, that's it. So that's just the last thing I wanted to add. Definitely a solid buy.
Well, I think that would be it for this one. Very high praises from the majority of the team, with Nick being the only one that really wasn't thoroughly impressed, but he still gives a thumbs up on this one. So we appreciate everybody listening to this episode and hope to catch you in the next.